and he's going to house it.
It's amazing. Absolutely amazing.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another Angle Up Pursuit podcast, your fantasy football, sports betting, and NASCAR home. I'm your host, Kyle Robert. You follow me on Twitter at NotoriousKRO. With me to break down our Week 6 best bets, our player props, all things NFL. It's Brian Twining. What's up, Brian?
Hey Kyle. Hey man, I'm excited for this week. We had a pretty good week 5 in the market as we recapped it over on our Tuesday show. So if you haven't caught up on that, you can see how we look ahead on the lines and give an idea about what we're going through. But I'm pretty excited to get into this week 6 market. There were some decent numbers that I liked and a lot of player props I'm in on this week.
Yeah, I'm very excited about the lines this week after last week where I was kind of, entering in muddy and didn't feel good about anything. Ended up having a decent week. So I'm worried that I feel great about this week. So things are going to go horribly, horribly wrong. But you know what? That's okay. That's not that we're here to have fun and we're here to make some picks. And we're here to pick some winners and hopefully keep the ball rolling. If you want some more picks, make sure you head over to fakepigskin.com. Check out our Against the Spread article every week. Aaron Marcotti and I write up six games against the spread, player props, all kinds of different stuff. We've been absolutely crushing it over there. I think we've gone 6-0 or 5-1, like 3 of the past 4 weeks or something insane. So
fire!
We are on fire, as they say. But let's dive into it and let's talk a lot of these games. There is a lot to get into, Brian, and I'm very excited. As I mentioned, if you got in on our look ahead show, Cleveland Browns, I got it 2.5. It's 3. Still love it. Still think it's an absolute smash spot for the Browns. They go home after a kind of frustrating, almost had it, but didn't have it against the Chargers. The defense is great. The offense is great. Hopefully Jedrick Wills is back this week. And Nick Chubb is going to run up and down the field all over Arizona. And as I mentioned, with Kyler Murray banged up, he just does not play nearly as well when he's trying to play through injuries. And guess what? He's playing through injuries. His yards per completion, his passing yards, his touchdowns, all that stuff comes plummeting down. So, great spot for the Browns returning home. I think if you can get it at a field goal or less, I would absolutely smash it. I'm not sure if it got up to 3.5, I'd be willing to go that far. But yeah, I feel like it's a great spot for the Browns.
Yeah, I can definitely get on board with this. Like you said, Kyler Murray, his shoulder's banged up. We saw it last year when that happens. He's just not the same guy. They're having a COVID issue right now with the Cardinals with two coaches and a player being confirmed positive today. So there's a lot of speculation about what's going on there. They may have to enter intensive protocols. DeAndre Hopkins has missed the last 2 days of practice with an illness. Cleveland's getting healthy on the defensive side of the ball. It looks like they're going to be getting Greg Newsome back at corner, and then both Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney are back practicing fully. So, yeah, this is a smash spot, which Cleveland should be able to run all over Arizona and put them in their place.
Yep, and hand them their first loss this season. Let's keep it rolling, and let's talk about your Dallas Cowboys -4 heading to New England.
I find this line rather interesting, and I think we're playing too much into the fact of Bill Belichick devising a plan against this Cowboys offense, which, I mean, I'm not going to say that their offense is better than what Tampa Bay brings to the table, but the Cowboys are sure healthier than what Tampa Bay was when the Bucs went there to New England. There was a lot more emotion going on in that game. Teams just cannot stop this Cowboys juggernaut right now. They are literally doing everything perfect on the offensive side of the ball and continuing to turn people over on the defense, which I just don't see a world where the Patriots are able to keep up with the Cowboys and or keep them down to a level that they'll be able to cover this line.
Sorry to break it to you, Brian. The line's moved to 3.5. It's actually 3 over at our friends at DraftKings. You're getting a better number. The Cowboys are 5-0 against the spread, and I've gone over the total 4 of the last 5. This line opened up at 4.5, and yet is trending towards New England. despite everyone and their mother loving the Cowboys in this spot. When we talked earlier in the week, I was with you on Dallas, but I have flipped. I am all over New England. I think the Patriots are absolutely the right side. They're only getting 22% of the bets, yet they're getting 45% of the money, and this number has already moved a full point and a half, depending on where you look at it. I know New England. New England looked horrendous. They should have lost to Houston. Now they go home. The Cowboys come in looking incredible. They're going to the Super Bowl. This all sets up for the Cowboys either failing to cover or losing outright. I'm backing the Pats, and I think this is an absolute smash spot.
Yeah, normally I would be very skeptical like you, but what I've seen them do over the first 5 weeks is enough for me to think that they are at least a 4-point better team than the Cowboys on the road. I mean, than the Patriots on the road.
Yeah, I'm going to disagree, but we'll see how that is. Speaking of crappy teams getting too many points, I will take the Houston Texans
Woo!
plus double digits. I think I can still get it at double digits. I will confirm that now. It went to 9.5 for a little bit, and now it's pretty much
It's
10
okay
across the
right now.
board. Give me the Texans. I think the Colts played Monday night, went to overtime, lost a heartbreaker. Now they have to go play against the Texans. Even though it's at home, I think Houston is good enough to not get absolute dump trucked without being good enough to actually win the game or keep it close. So I think this should be like a 7.5, 8 point spread. It's 10. I will take that. As I mentioned, Tennessee Titans +6, Tennessee Titans money line. I think this is a great spot. I like targeting these bad teams in great spots against teams that everyone loves. I'm a little worried because the Bills are getting more money than they're getting bets. Usually that's a bad sign for me. But I think this is the Titans' legit chance to remind everyone they're still contenders in the in the AFC. AJ Brown is back. Julio potentially back. I think they look pretty good after Josh Allen and company. Played so well against the Chiefs in prime time, and everyone saw how elite their ceiling is.
I've definitely come around on this line. For those of you that don't know, I do work with Fantasy Life app, so I have a little inside information on like injuries and stuff like this. But Julio and AJ Brown both practiced in full today, so it's looking like they're getting their alphas on the outside back. Which
Yeah.
yes, Buffalo is a really difficult team to pass on, but I mean, it's difficult to defend a team with 2 wide receivers like that as well.
Yeah.
When you have the battering ram of Derrick Henry in the backfield.
I think in the
Tennessee's defense
next.
is getting healthy.
Yep.
Corners are coming back.
Yep.
They're at home going up against a team who may be in a letdown spot, like you said. I still think Buffalo is better, but yeah, on Monday night on the road, I love the home dog here.
Yeah, I think this is that's the other thing. I love home dogs on Monday night and
Yeah.
primetime games. I just back them almost blindly. But I think we're gonna look back on this game in about a month, and we're gonna be like, how were the Titans only 6? Why were they 6-point underdogs? Either we're gonna go that was far too many points and it should have been a field goal or less, or we're gonna go they're a train wreck and it should have been double digits. Like I don't know this number 6 points on the road. That means if this game was in
It's like a
Buffalo, it would be
10-point line.
near double
Pretty close.
digits, and that's
Yeah.
insane. Like based on I know it's been a rough 4 weeks, but this is also a team that went to Seattle when Russell was healthy, beat them. Have they had some ugly losses? Sure, but seem to get a little swag back last week against Jacksonville. I know it's Jacksonville, but I'm buying the dip. Let's talk Baltimore. -4 in the first half. That can't be right. Is that right?
No, -2.5.
2.5. I don't know. So I must have been half asleep when I was making the graphic. But you like Baltimore in the first half. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, I've been trending upwards on Baltimore the last couple of weeks, and I think that last week really kind of solidified my thoughts on them. I mean, Lamar Jackson is, like I said preseason, looking every bit the front runner for the MVP with the numbers that he's been able to put up. I mean, he's literally carrying this team who's been crushed with injuries on both sides of the ball. The Chargers are now dealing with their own kinds of injuries. I mean, Mike Williams didn't practice for a second day in a row, dealing with a knee issue, which he came out of that Browns game with after that monstrous performance. Chargers, the linebacking core took a hit with Drew Tranquil is probably going to be missing the game after Kenneth Murray's already out. Baltimore may get Ronnie Stanley back for this game, which would be a huge addition to that offensive line.
Yeah.
I just think that the Chargers going on the road in Baltimore, it's going to be a, very boisterous crowd here. I like Baltimore to be up a field goal by halftime. And then I do like them on the line for the game as well.
Well, we're going to go head to head once again, Brian. I'm all over the Chargers in this spot. What we normally know Baltimore to be is not who they are anymore. The Chargers, where they struggle the most, is that run defense. And guess what? Baltimore doesn't run. Yes, Lamar runs, but he's throwing, and he's throwing a lot. He's had 30 or more attempts in 4 of 5 starts this year. He only had 2 games last year, all of last year, where he threw it 30 or more times.
What did I say about him returning to 2019?
You were on to it. But he's throwing. They're gonna get Rashad Bateman back at some point. Andrews is back in his full swag. Sammy Watkins, I think, could play this game. There's a lot for the passing game, but Tyson Williams and Le'Veon Bell and the corpse of Devonta Freeman are not getting it done. And they, without the Gus Bus and J.K. to hand the ball off to constantly, they're letting Lamar throw, and it's been awesome. And I think Harbaugh and company are going to realize that the ceiling of this team is so much higher when Lamar has the ball, when he can actually throw.
Yeah.
And as you mentioned, his MVP odds are becoming a lot more compelling. And somebody I like, but I think the Chargers can go on the road. I know those injuries are concerning. But I will take the 3 points. I'm not necessarily getting to the money line. There's a very good chance that Baltimore wins this game, but I think, 24-23, 31-30, something like that is very much within the realm of outcomes. So I'll take the 3 points with the road team and see if I can't cash a ticket. Brian, it's what everybody's come here for. It's time for your tease of the week. What do you like in week 6 on the teaser card?
Well, I mean, looking at the current lines, I'm teasing Kansas City down to a 0.5 point favorite in Washington. I mean, they're a consensus 6.5 point favorite on the road there. I think that the Chiefs offense is just they're finding their stride, although they lead the NFL in turnovers, I think, which is very surprising. I like the Chiefs to win this game, so teasing them down to a half on the road, regardless of how bad their defense is, I think is the play. I'm getting Carolina, teasing them up. Right now, they're currently sitting at around 2, I want to say average, 1.5, 2 in markets. I mean, teasing them up at a touchdown or above at home against the Vikings team who is dealing with a plethora of offensive injuries themselves, with both Adam Thielen and Justin Jefferson missing 2 consecutive days of practice. So they're banged up. I love the Panthers defense. I think it keeps them in this game. And Minnesota does nothing for me in terms of closing out contests, as we've seen. These are quite surprising as I'm going with the lines in these games, but I'm teasing the Cardinals and Browns up to about 55.5, 56, depending on what the number, where you can get it at, because when Kyler Murray is hurt, this offense for the Cardinals just does not move the ball at the same pace. And you know what Cleveland wants to do. They want to pound the rock, control the clock, keep the ball out of Arizona's hands. So I think that this game will clear that under pretty significantly. And then the other game is going back to New England. The line is sitting at 51 and a half, teasing this up to 56, 57, 57 and a half, and taking the under here, to me, just makes too much sense because New England does not want to get into a shootout with Dallas. And New England's defense is good enough to slow Dallas, I guess, to say, to a certain extent. And I just don't think that they're going to be scoring on 3-play possessions. It's going to be more of that methodical kind of game, long drive, 6-7 minute drive. So I think this game is played in the mid 40s, high 40s. So I like teasing this up and taking the under there.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. And a teaser that I can definitely get behind. Let's talk some player props because there is a
Yes.
lot to jump into this week. I think there's some good opportunities. I'll let you rattle yours off it a little bit, but jumping off of your point of, I think Zeke could have a really nice game here in a slower, more methodical game.
Yep.
78.5 rushing yards, I think makes a ton of sense. And even Dak at 6.5 rushing yards. It's up to 120 now over at DraftKings, but I think both of those numbers make a ton of sense.
Mind you, he is not running as much as he
No,
once did. I mean, definitely protecting his lower half, but
sure.
in a game that they do have pretty good pass rushers on the outside, Matthew Judon coming off one side. So I do think there is an ability for him to escape and get that 6-7 yards on the one play. So I I like his prop quite a bit.
A couple more rushing props, and then I'll let you rattle off some. Taylor Heineke, 24.5. Mobile quarterbacks have been running all over Washington. I took Josh Allen last week. I'll take Taylor Heineke this week. I also like Darrell Henderson, 76.5. I think he's getting healthier by the week. Facing a Giants team as a double-digit favorite. I think he runs plenty. I think he gets, 75 or up to, I think, 80, 85, 90 yards, something like that. So
And
I
a
think
Giants team who just got crushed by the Cowboys rushing attack.
Yeah, exactly. So why don't you rattle off some of your favorites?
All right, let's go overseas. Let's go to London here. I think that this is going to be the Mike Gesicki game, whether it's Tua or Jacoby Brissett. Jacksonville is getting killed by opposing tight ends. I think they're averaging giving up 17 fantasy points a game to them. Gesicki, outside of Jalen Waddle, is the healthiest pass catching option on the outside for this Dolphins team. So I like him to get over 41.5 yards in this game. I'm going back to that Washington Kansas City matchup. Patrick Mahomes, 2.5 touchdowns is the prop. What in the world are these books doing? Kansas City does not run the ball. So give me that all day, every day. If I could buy an extra touchdown and bet over 3.5 or plus or a lot bigger odds, I would do that as well. Staying in that matchup, Terry McLaurin, F1, over 80.5 receiving yards. Kansas City is getting killed by opposing wide receivers, opposing passing games. Kendrick Ward, or I think that's his name, and is going to miss this game for Kansas City. They have so many communication problems on the backside with the safeties. They may be making a change this week. I think that Terry McLaurin is speeding past Kansas City defenders early in this one. And then my last one, going back to that Dallas matchup, Jonnu Smith. The squeaky wheel will get the oil. And it's seeming like they're talking Jonnu up this week. Hunter Henry's on record today saying that he thinks that the blow up is coming. I think that they're going to be able to use his skill set against the Cowboys linebacking crew, which is not necessarily the best at covering opposing tight ends, and they're fairly slow. So I think that Jonnu Smith has a pretty good game. Whether it's 3 or 4 catches, I think he gets that 17.5 mark pretty easily.
Wow, Jonnu Smith is not a name I expected to hear coming out of this show. I think
It's just
he
such
has
a low number
he has
that
6 targets on the season. It's
that's all
insane.
right. When you start to hear players be talked up by teammates and all that, I mean, look what happened with Robert Woods. You saw
Yeah, but that took
teammates
like
and
3 weeks to happen.
that's all
There was
right. This
another
Cowboys.
Robbie Anderson was a squeaky wheel that never got fed. I don't know.
Well,
I'm gonna let you ride this one on your own.
let me just say real quick. So, as good as the Cowboys defense has been this year, they're actually giving up the second most passing yards total in the NFL this year. So you can throw on them. You
Yeah.
can go up and down the field. It's just the fact that they're creating turnovers. So in terms of yardage, picking against them or picking players to reach their props in yardage against the Cowboys is something I mean, you can make some good money on that, especially with the books just expecting the defense for how good they are, when in terms of doing it, they really haven't been that good. So
Yeah. Obviously, we're doing this on a Thursday, so a lot of a lot of the props aren't necessarily out yet. But I think as the week kind of rolls along, you tend to get a little bit more. Like I want to bet. I was going to pull up a prop. I am taking Ricky Seals Jones to have over
Yes.
3.5 receptions.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, he's running all the routes. He's being targeted. He's basically what Logan Thomas was. And honestly, if we're being real, the talent gap really isn't that massive. So I will happily take that.
That is
Uh,
crazy that
yeah,
that's what they set that
yeah,
number at for a
3.5.
guy who
It's
saw, what do you see,
smash.
9 targets last week?
Yeah, he should see 5-6 catches as long as
Yes.
and especially in this matchup, it's perfect.
And in this offense too, that was feeding Logan Thomas
Yeah.
every game. So
Darrell Williams rushing props are interesting. Over 11.5 attempts is getting pounded to the under, but over 47.5 yards is getting pounded to the over. So that means they think he's going to have like 8 or 9 or 10 catches rushes and get about 50 yards. It's kind of interesting. I don't know if I
I'm not
want to
really. No, I was just gonna say I'm not really in on the Kansas City running backs this week,
Yeah.
just because like they can talk Darrell Williams up all they want, but this is Patrick Mahomes' offense, and if their defense is so bad, you need to keep the ball in Patrick Mahomes' hands and just go up and down the field.
Yeah, I wonder if there's a Jerick McKinnon, like if we could get a reception prop on him.
Let's see.
No, only thing that's out there is 2 touchdowns, and that's 28-1. I'm not really trying to bet that, but
oh man, that would be great.
It's definitely something.
Yeah.
Any other props you want to make sure we hit on? I'm on Ross St. Brown 4.5. That's people are crushing the over. And with Quez Watkins or what's his name? Not Quez Watkins is the Eagles guy. What's the
It's
anyways?
Quez something, wasn't it?
With
Quintez Cephas.
Quintez Cephas, with him being hurt, a lot more opportunities for plays. James Robinson is just getting insane volume with Jacksonville, even when Urban Meyer's an idiot and puts Carlos Hyde out there. His over under for rushing plus receiving is 91.5. I kind of like that. His rushing,
those defenses have been abysmal.
His rushing only is 72.5. I think those are both compelling numbers to get behind. Any other area? Go ahead.
I like Jonathan Taylor props this week for Indy. Houston's Houston this season. They're nothing special on defense. I really think if you can find it whenever they release it, I know they're holding it back because of the status of Jamal Williams is still up in the air, but DeAndre Swift props this week going up against Cincinnati, I think are going to be very easily hit. Especially if Williams is limited at all. And then on the other side of that matchup is Chris Evans.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I thought that's where you were going with your first one.
No. I really like Chris Evans. If you can find a receptions market or even like a receiving yards prop for him, because they don't really have much on him. So I don't really feel like they'll have a good number set.
Yeah, I literally just looked him up in the prop shop. The only thing they have is for rookie of the year, and he's like 500-1 to win that. So I won't be getting down. Have you had any updates on where we're at with the Giants offense as a whole?
So it's trending that Daniel Jones he's basically in the last step of the concussion protocol. So it's looking like he's going to play.
That's great.
Both Darius Slayton and Sterling Shepard did a lot more in practice today. The expectation is that they should play. Kenny Galladay looking like a no-go. And then Kadarius Toney was limited, but he should play too.
Yeah, so my expectations are you basically having Slayton on one side as the outside guy. They're going to push Shepard to the other outside and let Toney run that inside slot because he's been incredible.
He has some of the fastest feet I've seen in a while.
This is a dude that was talking that, there were, off-season rumor mill is kind of crazy, but there was legitimate discussion that this guy is doing so horribly that he could potentially get cut. And now he's breaking out in a monster way. I hope you got him in every fantasy squad, but he only played 50% of the snaps, only ran routes in 25% of the routes, and almost put up 200 receiving yards last week. That's insane.
And that was also in a lot of garbage time against the Cowboys as well. So
Well, and as 10-point underdogs, I think they'll be in some garbage time this week against the Rams.
I do think though, like I know we're talking betting, but if you are playing fantasy and you were able to grab Kadarius Toney, I really don't think that his value is going to get any higher than what it is right now. Like people are at a fever pitch
So you're
about what.
saying trade him away if
Yes,
you can get
trade
rid.
him for. I mean, people are probably going to give you an AJ Brown for him, which, yeah,
Steph,
I'd do that every single
Stephon
day.
Diggs, another name. Some
Oh,
people,
dude, if you
everyone's
could
out on
trade,
Stephon Diggs, yet he's been incredible. I don't understand it. I did look up Devontae Booker's rushing yards, 46.5. It looks like DraftKings is getting hit to the under. It's minus 120.
what's his
Um,
carries total?
I don't have that. I
Mm.
only have rushing yards. I'm seeing if there's other books have it. Yeah, we're not affiliated with FTN in any way, but FTN Bets is a great prop shop to check your state, see what options you have, and find some good value. Brian and I use DraftKings for most of our odds, but it's a good way to look around. All right, Brian, we talked some bets, we talked some props, we talked some all of our favorite stuff for the week. I think there's only one thing left. What is your best bet for? We're already NFL week 6.
Dude, it's like every single week we talk about this. I feel like the previous week didn't even exist, if that makes any sense to you. Like it just went so fast. And then to realize that we're in week 6
Mm-hmm.
when it feels like we were talking about preseason, just yesterday,
Yep.
it's asinine.
Yep. What's your best bet?
Patrick Mahomes over 2.5 passing touchdowns. I just don't understand why the market is set so low for the guy with, probably the pass
What's
heaviest
the juice on that?
offense. Let's look here. Definitely something that I'm betting pretty heavy.
Yeah, over is minus 130. So yeah, that's.
The fact that that's only minus 130, I feel like is
I was
very
thinking it might be plus money because sometimes the books get weird, but
for Patrick Mahomes.
yeah, I think if you can get Mahomes at 2.5, you have to bet it,
Yeah, it's
and then
ridiculous.
anytime it gets to 3 or more, you just kind of stay away.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
It's kind of like tonight for Tom Brady. So we are recording this during the Tampa Bay at Philadelphia game. Brady same way. His prior prop for passing touchdowns was 2.5. He has 2 touchdowns already, and the first quarter just ended. So that's what they do. It's just literally what they do.
Yeah.
I
So,
don't understand it.
yeah, that's the prop market is one of the most exploitable markets in the world. Like even if you just like if you have options of like 3 or 4 different books, price shop everything, find the different number and just find the value and just
Yeah,
take it.
unless you live in California like us.
Well,
But
yeah, I mean we don't get nothing, but that's fine. I'm gonna go with the Browns. They've been my favorite team all week. I got it at 2.5, like I said, on Monday or Tuesday. It's up to 3 now. I still take it there. I think this is a great spot for them. I think they win impressively this week. I will say go Giants. I'm going to hopefully be very excited in about 3 hours when we're on our way to the NLCS. Otherwise, I will be opening several bottles of vodka and drowning my sorrows. Good luck this week with your bets. Good luck with your DFS or fantasy or whatever else you got going on.
let us know what your best bets are down in the
Let us know
comments.
down in the comments. We've been getting some good comments. We really appreciate everybody hopping on and letting us know who you're betting. We're always looking for new angles, new player props, whatever. Let us know down in the comments. That's Brian Twining. I'm Kyle Robert, and we'll talk to you guys next.